So here's the problem. I got a PM, and the question was, why is it that the women who claim to be in happy relationships with white men still turn back and, feel like they have to weigh in and say this, that, and the third? The whole idea of I'm happily in a interracial relationship, but they're coming to black men as if we're hating, as if we are in their world. I said this before. How are black men hating on your interracial love when we're not in your world? If you say you're successful and you're doing well and black men aren't, then why am I in your world? Right? How am I there? I don't understand. If you're off in the gated community, I'm clearly not there, so how can I hate on your interracial love or your marriage or whatnot? So the PM was centered around that, and I said, at the end of the day, the women haven't, how can I put this, made a sound choice. They made a knee-jerk reaction. As opposed to really weighing out the options of their choice, they just reacted. And for a lot of black men, here's the problem. It's not a reaction. It's a choice. It's as simple as that. For a lot of black men, okay, the ones who are productive, two things happen when they decide that maybe they need to, when they reach the point where they say they're not opposed to setting up some sort of interracial marriage or relationship. Two things happen. A, he thinks about the long-term consequences of the choice. So the whole idea of, passing his family values on and the family name on, but not having that racial cohesion. So before, my family name was surrounded by black people. But now the family name will still be there and the family values will still be there, but the racial demographics of my last name will no longer be black. And because of that, my happy family or whatever can't necessarily be an example, right? We're not the Cosby family anymore. We're not that template for other black people to follow, right? So we have to weigh that out, right? How important is that to us? So that's something that we have to come to terms with before, we quote unquote hop the fence. Am I going to be able to deal with the fact that, my family name will still be passed on, my values will still be passed on, but my daughter may bring home somebody that doesn't look like me, right? Am I willing to handle that? Or my son may bring somebody home that doesn't look like my sisters, right? That's something that we have to deal with and come to terms with when we make that choice. Right, so we're not making some knee-jerk reaction. Okay, to be real with you, the last girl I was speaking to seriously, I just couldn't get past that point. She was a great person, and we still talk. But honestly, I wasn't ready to do the whole she's a great person, but I know in the future, the demographics of my family is not going to be completely black. I'm gonna keep it real, and she knew it too. Right? It wasn't a big deal for her, but it was for me. Right? It was what it was. It was one of those situations where there wasn't a clear reason to why, we weren't together. But I know it was more so on my end. I'll take the L for that one. I just wasn't ready to deal with it. Right? But that's something that we're mindful of. Secondly, before we hop the fence, we ask ourselves, why am I mad with the women? Why am I mad? Am I mad because of what Beyonce is not doing? Or am I mad because of what the average black woman isn't doing? That's very big. I tell brothers this all the time. Who are you mad at? Right? Don't come at me with your complaints about what the superstar, light-skinned, long, flowy hair black woman, isn't doing. How come she doesn't want to go for me? How come she's not humble? How come she's not this, that, and the third? Don't come to me with that, right? I'm more so concerned, what is the average everyday black woman not doing? So when I come on and I talk about what I talk about, I'm not talking about what the superstar woman isn't doing. Right? What the light-skinned, wavy hair black girl, she's not this, she's not down to earth, she's not family-oriented. I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about more so the average everyday black woman, because that's what's desired. That's what the men are looking for. That's what the men can't find. You'll find an average girl, but her mentality is that of a superstar. Okay? So when I speak, I'm speaking to the average black women who have adopted some unrealistic standard or some superstar standard. Right? That's who I'm addressing. So in my eyes, my complaints are legit. I'm not complaining about the superstar chick. Right? So for me, my decision to maybe explore different avenues is not a knee-jerk reaction. It's not because I got dissed by the Beyonce chick and I want revenge. Okay? I've actually weighed out the consequences. And like I said before, a lot of brothers are still sticking around because of what I'm talking about. You have brothers who are literally saying, yeah, she's cool, but damn, she's white, she's Asian, and, when we start having kids, it's going to be a big-ass problem. She's a great person, but I don't know if I can make that next jump. And or you have men who are like, wait a minute, let me give sisters another shot. Let me try something new. I realized that I was going for the wrong thing, but now I'm more so, okay, what's the everyday black woman doing? I'll admit that I overlooked these women, but, what's going on with them? So you have a lot of men who are actually reaching that point, okay? And at the end of the day, they've dealt with it. They've come to terms with what it means to be in an interracial marriage and have an interracial family. They've come to terms that, I've actually desired or went after the black women that say they're overlooked. So I've actually tried to make it work with the Brandy and not the Beyonce, and things still aren't working. I've tried it. I've tried to go with the everyday, darker skin, European feature black woman, the ones that say they have the hardest, but the mindset's still off, right? And personally, I've been through that stage, right? The worst thing is to deal with a chick who's average, but because she doesn't have an average mentality, her viewpoint of herself is off. We've been there. Right? So like I said, when a lot of black men decide to hop the fence, and I hate the term hop, no, when a lot of men decide to walk through the gate, they're not running from anybody, they're not hopping, when they decide to, casually make their way to the other side, it's a sound choice. Right? And for a lot of the women, right, it's a knee-jerk reaction. Okay? The women will come on and talk about how they're going to get a white man, but then talk about black love. Like, do you understand that your relationship doesn't serve as an example of black love? Even if you're in a loving, happy relationship, which is great, it's not black love, right? Your relationship isn't going to be plastered on some black magazine. No, you're not going to take what you want out of a black man and put a white man there and act as if it's black love. It's just like me making the mistake of saying, I want black love, but I'm going to take the black woman out and put a white girl there, and this is black love. No, it's not. It's not black love. So you have women who act as if they can still hold on to the black love type of, we're building black families, even though their husband or boyfriend or whatever is not black. Okay? So they haven't thought about the long-term ramifications of their choice. So once again, they're making a knee-jerk reaction as opposed to an actual choice. And you have the whole idea of not coming to terms with who's rejected you. I've said this before, right? The women have convenient amnesia. Okay, you were going for the superstar cat when you were younger, early 20s, right? And all of a sudden, when you're older, you get the whole black men rejected me. Who rejected you? Be careful in regards to saying who rejected you. It's funny because all of a sudden, the everyday brothers get mixed in. And once again, it's one of those reverse psychology type of situations where it's like, if I can get the men that I rejected to somehow feel guilty, if I can convince them that, I've always been on your tip, but you were the one to reject me and put me down, he has no choice but to, correct what he did wrong. But that's not what's going on. Half the women that are complaining, I'm like, who rejected you, sweetie? Who told you weren't pretty enough? Who told you were dark skinned? Right? Who did you dirty? Who just hit it and quit it? Was it the everyday dude, or was it the dude that you saw to be the superstar dude? Even in college, it happens all the time. You'll have the chick who exclusively went at the everyday chick who exclusively tried to, get with the superstar dude, get hurt. And then the next thing you hear, it's a generalization. This is just how men are. And I'm like, who really hurt you? Right? You're trying to fuel your fire, right? But you're not really, because your support is whack. Right? The everyday brother didn't hurt you. Or you haven't even dealt with this man. It's not even about everyday brothers not hurting black women. Yeah, it goes on, but that's not who you were dealing with. So like I said before, you have the women who aren't weighing in what it means to their future generations, and they're not weighing in the type of black dude that they're having a problem with, and they're making a knee-jerk reaction. So I'd say that the women are hopping the fence, right? More so with the men who are kind of casually walking over.